It can't end like this, can it? If Bruce Bochy has his way, it won't end like this. We've got the story coming. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. The Rangers have been eliminated, but the season's not over.
There's Kat.
Hello, Kat. There's the Queen. We've got gremlins working in our thing here. Kat's replacing Jeff Wilson today, as Jeff is so disgusted by this team in this season and last night's game that look at Kat. You guys see her now. I mean, I think you've seen her before, but. There we go. There we go. So
just push a button.
As we were saying, that's the Queen. She's here. I don't think we had to say that today. And Jeff and I are here, and the Rangers are done, eliminated, but they're not done. Right? There's 5 games left, and last night, Misty, Leon's point. Hard to say they have no quit in them when, for all intents and purposes, it looked like they quit. That may be a little harsh, but they were not focused last night. They got a leadoff home run from Jock Peterson, nothing else. Had a stretch in there. What was it? 18 straight retired.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Like they had a dinner reservation.
Yeah,
trying to get to. And Bruce Bochy said the focus wasn't where it needed to be, and you can try to pinpoint what those things are, and how many balls did Josh Young bobble at third base? And they still got outs and whatever, but was there something there that wasn't right? And I don't know what Bruce Bochy was thinking, but you see plays like that, and sometimes you're just like, that's unusual. That doesn't usually happen.
Right.
So it was a blah game.
Yeah.
There was no energy.
No.
That's for sure. Even the plate umpire didn't have any energy.
No.
And it was just a shame because, you're playing a Twins team. It's god awful. You need 2 wins to get just to 500 even. And now I don't even know if that's possible.
No, I mean, gosh, it felt like last night. And I agree that it felt last night like I wasn't sure they'd win again this year. I believe Boch having strong words afterwards, and heard a couple of people saying he went off. I mean, his tone, his level is always pretty similar in post-game situations. You have to listen for the words, and he did bring up the focus or lack of it, and he said we can't have this, right? So I think because of that and the fact that they have Jacob deGrom going tonight, they'll at least win one more. That still won't get them to 500.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They got to do better than that, but maybe that'll get them, headed in the right direction. You got to finish strong, if for no other reason than many of you, Jonah Heim, Adolis Garcia, maybe Josh Young, are really playing for next year. The first 2 I mentioned, probably playing for who they might play for next year, right?
Yeah. I hope that these people, these players can, read the writing on the wall, and I trust that they can, or that somebody who they trust is reading it for them. Everybody has something to play for at this point. It is, if you're going into, you want to get a contract extension, you're out there trying to play hard. If you want to, if you're a young guy and you want a spot on the opening day roster, you're out there playing hard. If you're a guy who struggled this season. You want to go into the offseason on a positive note. You're out there trying. And that the team didn't do it yesterday. And you look at Patrick Corbin was out there. Can't blame him. He was giving it all he had.
Yeah.
I thought the bullpen was out there working and trying their to do their part. But you do look at the offense. A guy named Zebby Matthews pitched last night.
Yeah.
He'd given up like 1,000 runs in his previous couple starts. He looked like Brad Radke.
Yeah.
A great past Twins pitcher,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. Like, this guy's not any good. So there were definite problems. I hope that the message that the manager gave to the media was shared also with the players, because you got to clean it up. You got to be a professional. And a lot of these young guys are learning how to be professionals, but the guys who are there and have been in this situation before, they damn well know what they need to do, and they didn't do it last night, and they need to do it over these final 5 games.
Yeah, they really do. It needs to start tonight. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, it will start without Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, as the Rangers have done the wise thing with both of them and shut them down. Boch talked about that before the game yesterday, and it's the risk reward thing, I suppose, Jeff. Right? If you're fighting for a playoff spot, perhaps it's worth the risk. But when you're not, it's not. It's not worth risking their future health.
And I think that's especially so with Semien, just because it's a delicate situation. And it sounds like everything had been cleared by doctors, but anytime, like have been saying, Liz Frank is involved.
Yep.
Don't mess around with that one. And then Corey, it sounds like he'd been swinging the bat and getting stronger with each day. But why rush him at this point? And maybe you could hurt something. Maybe you don't hurt the area where the appendix was, but maybe compensating you hurt something else. And Corey has proven to be a little bit fragile, and so he hasn't had a full normal off season for a while now.
Right.
Because he had the hernia operation into early September last year. And then in the offseason after the World Series, he waited until January. And all that he did during the offseason wasn't right. So he needs to have a full offseason. He needs to figure out, and I'll give him credit for this, after his hamstring injuries there in May, he went and saw a specialist. And to his credit, he figured out a way, at least for the rest of the season, for the hamstrings, the hamstring, well, man, we'll say both of them, to not give out. So, he needs to figure out some other things. The hernia situation, I think that's correlated. I don't know, but fine, let him get out. And now with Wyatt Langford leaving the game early yesterday, is Wyatt Langford next? It certainly
seems like it
sense for him to not have to go ahead and play. Josh Smith has an infection in his right elbow, which is crazy. He's on medicine. He wants to play. And, his wife is due Monday, and Corey's wife is also due. So Corey is not going to travel to Cleveland. Josh's plans are to travel to Cleveland. But you have that also. So, at this point, you might be looking at a lineup of, I don't even know.
Right.
But I really don't know if they have anybody else on the 40-man. I guess they could call up Foscue. Yeah. But it's like, who's going to take their places?
Yeah, if there's,
well, I guess it's only Josh Smith's place. But Wyatt probably wouldn't IL him. He'd probably just play short, but maybe you do IL him, and that way you aren't tempted to play him. And if you're the manager or the team, and you let Justin Foscue occupy a spot on the bench and playing.
Yeah. And so you're not playing short. Yeah. And the Seager thing, as you mentioned, is one thing. The Semien thing, and I do wonder too with Marcus, and he was really trying hard to get back, even if it didn't matter in the playoff picture. I wonder if it was difficult to talk him into sitting out the rest of the season. This is a guy who wants nothing more than to play.
I asked the manager that, and he said, no, Marcus understood.
Okay.
Mutual. He gets it, and, didn't didn't threaten to bring the union or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He was fine with it, and he should be,
Yeah.
because this is new for him. He's only been injured once previously, and it was like a broken wrist.
Yep.
That's pretty cut and dry.
And that was like in 14 or
It was a
something.
long time ago.
Yeah.
This thing though is tricky, and yeah, just err on the side of caution. He'll be fully ready for spring training. He can get used to the pad that he's going to wear on his foot now every at bat, and Corey, he can be okay and have a month to welcome in their first child and rest and recover, because there's not going to be a lot of rest.
No.
and then you can start working out, and when they get to Arizona in probably February 15th, let's say,
Yeah. 10th, 15th.
they'll be good to go.
Yeah, which is great. We mentioned it several times in the last few shows how important that normal off season can be. It'll definitely be normal for Corey Seager now. I mean, he's close enough that he'll be fully healed, and then it'll be close to, but not quite normal, I suppose, for Marcus Semien, because he does. He's still got to be concerned about that list. Frank, you talked about this lineup that they're going to field for the next few days, 5 games, I suppose. And again, when you do get to those guys, it's even more important for them to, play with everything in them and not lose their focus. And Boch did not question effort, and I never have and never will. I will accentuate it if another player or the coach does, or the manager in this case. But who am I to know what their effort is? But I do know this: he questioned their focus, and these guys need to be more focused than anybody, because they really are absolutely playing for next year, one way or the other.
If you can't, if you aren't focused, you aren't giving your best effort. You can pretty easily draw that conclusion, again, Josh Young might have been totally focused in yesterday, and just balls had bad spin and got out of his glove or whatever. He couldn't get a double play, and he had to settle for the outs at first, or whatever the case. But if he wasn't focused, then there might be a reason why that happened. He didn't have the right technique or whatever. That's just I'm not picking on Josh, but and then at the plate, throwing at bats away. Adolis, his first at bat was not a good at bat, and it's like, well, come on, guys. And I'm speaking as the manager here, and probably the president of baseball operations also.
Yeah.
All right. Clean it up. I bet that CY was even more angry than Bruce Bochy.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a ridiculously competitive man, and so I'm sure he was not happy. And a former player, Boch too, but a former player, so And then the other thing that just has to be cleaned up, and it's been talked about a lot, but man, I was just looking at the body language in the dugout shots that they took kind of throughout the game. And that's to the point of no life at all within anybody on that bench.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, they have $120 million worth of players on the IL, right?
It is, yeah.
I don't know. It's I've never been in this situation, but this may come down to a lot of things. Come back to chemistry. It may make you, if you're a front office, wonder if you have the right players, the kind of players that you thought you were getting, and turns out you didn't get the kind of guy that you thought, a competitor, and then there is the professionalism aspect. And I know that sounds like a inside baseball thing. It's because it is. You got to be a pro. You sign up to play 162 games. And you may not feel great right now. Nobody does. But again, there's something to play for, and it's beyond wins and losses. It's playing for your teammates and doing right by them. There's so many things that go into being a professional, but that's the basic one. You may go 0 for 4, but you can hustle. You can play your hardest and still go 0 for 4.
Yeah. So anyway, there's lots to talk about. Of course, there's going to be a whole off season, but let's get through this season with at least pride and respectability. We'll talk more about that and how that might happen over these next 5 games, and then get to some off season thoughts as well. It's all coming. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast, and it's game time. Time for you to figure out what you're going to do with your disposable income now that those Rangers playoff tickets that were there, we know they were on game time, they're not a thing anymore. They're officially gone. I actually don't know if they were there yesterday. I should have checked on that, but you know, game time, especially when the Rangers were doing great, had the playoff possibilities for you on the app. Now you start looking to the NFL, and the Cowboys game is always a fun game. It's a cool place to go if you've never been to the stadium, and I promise you, if they continue to play as they have been, you're going to be able to get some deals on Cowboys tickets, and the best place to do that is the Game Time app. You just go to that app and you look for the seat you like at the price you want. They'll show you exactly where your seat is and what it will look like from where you're sitting. GameTime.com, and if you use the code DLLS, $20 off your first purchase.
And you know, you're going to win so much money. Prize Picks that you'll be able to go to any event you want on the Game Time app. Prize Picks, leader in daily fantasy sports. Last night I turned $5 into $18.75. Big money here, John.
Right.
That's right.
That's
right.
right.
That's right. I bet Logan Webb to have more than 3.5 strikeouts. Kevin Gossman to walk a batter, and Dean Kramer, the Orioles pitcher, to strike out fewer than 5, and he struck out 4. So we're going out to dinner tonight, baby. But anyway, Prize Picks is awesome. It's 2 to 6 players. You decide. It's called a lineup, and you decide if they will have more or less than a certain stat. And if you get them all right, you win. You can do what's called a flex bet, which means you have a little margin for error if you miss. They have max discount picks. This week, Jalen Hurts has to throw for half a yard. Go to PricePicks.com/DLLS. You will get $50 after your first $5 lineup.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever have a bet that Jalen Hurts will rush for half a yard, which is essentially what he does every time the tush push happens.
That's right.
Although, actually, I think they officially give him a yard, and it's usually a lot more than that. But anyway, yeah, so this team, 5 games left. Boch indicated last night how serious he is about this team finishing strong, and to the whole point of, you know, the serious nature of injuries here at the end among the best players and the highest paid players on the team. You know, again, the guy that took the mound for the Twins yesterday winds up looking like Brad Radke, as you mentioned earlier, and that right there tells you what each and every one of these guys can do, right?
Yeah,
they're all Major League Baseball players, and they're not, they're not immune from getting out there and just and playing. Frankly, playing also like they played 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago.
Yeah. Now, Zebby did have the advantage of facing a watered down lineup. I mean, you know, this lineup is not terrific, and especially when you now take Wyatt Langford out of it potentially. You know, when your number 3 hitter is Alejandro Osuna, no offense to Alejandro, you know your lineup is in trouble. So, but you still have 27 outs. These guys have been in the majors now for a while. Have had enough of a taste to recognize pitches and understand what's going on. It was just bad all around. You know, I do hate to see it. And yeah, you just hope it changes. You know, I see Leon in there doing my research for me on the 13-game losing streaks and to end the season, and then I see some Bruce Bochy talk. I don't think Bruce Bochy's
no.
Now maybe if they lose 13 in a row, maybe that changes Chris Young's mind on Bruce Bochy. But I think also that the guy who puts the team together has to be introspective and look at the work he did.
Yeah, what he gave him.
And the guys that are out there right now on the roster. So anyway, I do think Bruce Bochy will return to the Rangers. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't told his assistant coaches anything yet, but one of them told me they haven't told us anything, but he's talking about next season.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is going to happen.
Yeah, and he was asked yesterday about the ABS system.
Yeah, repeatedly by all of us.
Yeah, and one of the questions that came up is, oh man, you're not going to have as many. He's 4 ejections away from the record.
Yeah,
and they said you're not going to have as an opportunity to pass that record. He said, "Oh, I'll get it."
And then he joked, "I'll work on it this week." But he also was talking about, we're like, well, how do you want? I asked, and I phrased it this way intentionally. Next season, how do you want your guys to work with this rule? And he answered it and continued to say yeah, that's something we're going to look at and next year we'll talk about and all this stuff. So if you want to read between the lines and read into what he's saying, then yeah, it sounds like it's his intention to come back. And, if Chris Young continues to be the man of his word,
right,
from what he's said multiple times throughout the season, Bruce Bochy will retire. It's up to him.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. That should happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they just, this isn't something that needs to linger.
No. And again, with assistant coaches, obviously a bunch of them hanging in the balance too. You need to let everybody know. And so they will, and they'll take care of this. And I'm with you 100%. I don't think he's going anywhere. And he's, Rarities is right. He's a Hall of Fame manager. I don't think you want to retire on a note like this one. I just don't think you do. I think, and especially him, even forget the Hall of Fame credentials that he's built. He's just, he first of all, he's a competitor. Second of all, he loves this, Yeah. I think that, he hasn't, he doesn't love the results of this season, but he hasn't hated the chess game, the process, the trying to figure it out. He told us one day he goes home and he writes down, literally told us that he writes them down, like lots and lots and lots of lineups, trying to decide on how to put this thing together for the next day.
Right.
And so and I asked specifically, I said, when you talk about all these lineups, is that in your head? Is it on your computer? He said, no, I write them. And then I throw the paper away, and then I write another one and throw it away. He loves this stuff.
Right. And, he still has the fire. And I agree with everybody who's saying, why would he want to go out with this team, with this kind of performance, this finish? He still wants to win. He's still driven to win. He's still making moves to win games last night.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, he mailed that one in. No, he didn't. He took a pitcher out in the 4th inning. All right. I mean, he's on top of the game. And, he took out Danny Coulomb, which was interesting, in a 2-2 count. And afterwards he said, yeah, he'd thrown a couple curveballs short and he usually doesn't go this long. And I didn't want to risk any more, any chance of injury. He's on top of things. And so I scoff at people who suggest that. I mean, just look at the Rangers box scores. It's like it has the 9. You know what a box score looks like.
Yeah.
And then it has underneath
PH.
one guy -A.
Yeah.
PH. Hellman. PH. CF. Their box scores have been the longest ones in the league for a while now.
They have.
If it was the old time newspaper, you'd have to figure out how to get that one in there because without breaking it because it's so long. So anyway, I think that he's back.
I do too, and I think that's a good thing. The Rangers, for the rest of this season, are going to wear that SL patch that you may have seen on their uniforms last night. It is, in remembrance of and an honor for Scott Littlefield, who died suddenly Friday or Thursday, I think it was Thursday or Friday.
Well, overnight Thursday, Friday
into Friday.
Yeah.
And he, it was, he's 59 years old. It's a very tragic and surprising thing.
Yeah, and a week ago today, I was in Houston, and so was Scott Littlefield. And in the dugout before the game, doing what he always did, talking and having a. I mean, he just loved to be around the,
Yeah.
the team and the game, any game really. I mean, I saw him the first time I went to the Dominican was in 2014, and he was scouting workouts, and he's their he's one of their draft guy. Hey, Scott, go look at this.
Yeah.
Let's get a read on him. And I mean, he did it everywhere. And again, in the postseason, talk about these scouts who go out for weeks at a time scouting potential opponents. At the trade deadline, if you know what you're doing, you're out there weeks ahead of time scouting teams and players in minor league ballparks that you would rather never go to or have never had any intention of going to, but there you are out there watching some young stud potentially that you're going to acquire if you're rebuilding, or you're in a major league ballpark and you're scouting a guy who you want. They scout their own players. These scouts are all over the place, and losing Scott's just a kick in the shorts. And you talk about a miserable way to finish the season. Losing Scott Littlefield is the absolute worst thing. It might be the worst thing that's happened to the team all year. I mean, it's just he was valuable to him, but he was such a good friend, a funny guy. You just feel for the family. It's a baseball family. His two brothers are in baseball. His two kids are in baseball, including his daughter. Feel for Mrs. Littlefield, Heather. 59 is way too early to go.
Oh my gosh, just so young and really, yeah, just so sad. And he was like still working. Jeff said he saw him.
Yeah.
He was in Houston in a hotel room.
Right.
Sadly, doing whichever work he was doing in Houston. Sadly, that's where his life came to an end way too early. So, and I think that I don't think it's any coincidence that since he's been here, the drafting that the Rangers have done has improved considerably.
Yeah, and it changed a few years ago. They've really, they took a prep player for the first time since 2018 this year. They tried to weed out the risk a little bit. It was just a prep shortstop heavy class, but he's been just all over everything. And for a while there, the Rangers were really strong internationally, and the leaders of the wild west down there. But he saw them all.
Yeah.
And I remember I would text him right before the trade deadline. I'd be like, "Hey, where are you?" He goes, "Well, if I tell you where I am, I'd give it away." He didn't want to give away information, but 2018 comes to mind. He was I asked him, and he said, "Well, I'd give it away." Turns out he was in Altoona, Pennsylvania, scouting the Pirates because the Pirates and Rangers struck a deal for Keone Kela, with Taylor Hearn and certain Apostle. Apostle was not in Altoona then, but Taylor Hearn was. Pirates kindly gave the Rangers two prospects for a absolute nightmare of a teammate
of a human
player.
being.
And yeah,
Keone.
The worst. Yeah.
Oh, you got to tell us off air. Oh,
so
wow.
Anyway,
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just part of what Scott did.
Yeah, he's just a tragic loss, and again, these organizations and these teams again spend so much time together. They are family, and it's literally, especially for the other people in the front office, but even for players around there, many of whom Scott scouted. It's like losing a member of the family. So you do have to adjust to that, get over that, and it's not easy. And everybody does it on a different time frame. So anyway, R.I.P. to Scott. I'm not sure we've really talked about him yet since it happened over the weekend. So thankfully, the Rangers will honor him and his family with the patch, at least for the rest of this season. Coming up next, let's dive a little bit into the off season and the priorities that don't just include players. It comes next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's our month still. It's September. It's waning, but we still really want to encourage you to be a big brother or a big sister to a young person out there that really would just relish and love and cherish every moment they got to spend with you. You don't have to spend the whole, like every day with them or a whole, week with them. Once a week, once a month even. And it just shows these young people that you are engaged and that you care about them. And so many of them need that person in their lives, and they just don't have it. So it's a simple thing to do. It's the greatest reward for the least amount of effort that you can possibly get. So we ask you to go to Big Brothers and Big Sisters and sign up to be a big, and you'll be a part of what a great organization that is our partner. That's Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Dallas.
For sure, can't echo that enough. And we don't need your support, but we sure would enjoy it.
Yes, that's
We'd
right.
love to have you as part of the supporters club. And here's what it is. It dates all the way back to 2025. We say it's true sickle level stuff. So not only are you a diehard, you're now a sicko. And what you do in the supporters club, there's 2 levels. It allows you to have access to some pretty sweet emojis, but also even sweeter, the behind the scenes stuff that you don't get on our podcast, that you don't get in my stories or other people's stories. Just kind of what's going on at DLS, some stories that we've had in our careers, just some memories, some in-depth looks going ahead. Really, it's an open book. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to more of that once our offseason arrives, but you need to join the supporters club to access it.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the support, and we appreciate the supporters club. So the priorities of the offseason, we've already discussed one in great detail. It's the most important priority of the offseason, and that is to secure the manager. I mean, just decide what you're going to do. We don't think anything other than an extension for Bruce Bochy will be done. I suppose the only thing at 70 years old is how long, Jeff, right? I mean, 3 years is generally kind of a standard, but who knows?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be surprising if he were to get a 2-year extension.
Sure.
Maybe with an option. But, he's free to leave it. Come and go as you'd like. If after this next season he's like, all right, then move on and go that way. It's something that does not need to linger. This decision needs to be made, if not this week, then early next week.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Got to give the assistant coaches the opportunity to find other jobs if A, Bruce Bochy doesn't return, and if B, the Rangers decide they don't want some of these coaches back, which is always a possibility. But you're talking about some guys who are maybe a little bit on the older side. Bruce Bochy is old, 70, but Mike Maddox is 63.
Yep.
I believe he's got another year on his contract. I'm not sure about that. Tony Beasley is older. He could very easily go into retirement, and he's set and ready to go. So there's some definite things that need to be answered quickly regarding the managerial situation. And and then if you have a search, you gotta get your ducks in a row and figure out who you want. I know there will probably be some internal candidates. I would think Skip Schumacher, as we all say, maybe Nick Hundley. I'm sure they'd run it past Michael Young, who would say hell no.
Yeah.
But at least explore that opportunity internally first. But then there are some guys out there you like, and I don't know who they would be, but
no, we haven't really thought much about
a
change because, again, we were told, we were both standing there when Chris Young said, Bruce Bochy has a job as long as he wants to have one. And when he doesn't want to have the job as manager any longer, he's going to have an office right next door to mine so I can talk baseball with him anytime I want to on a daily basis, as we do now. Now, that part of it might never come to fruition for CY because Boch may say, no, I'm not having an office here. I'm going to Nashville.
Right.
That's where my house is. That's where my family is. I'm going there. That said, that's how much Chris Young thinks of Boch, and we have no reason to believe that CY's feelings have changed that drastically.
No.
For Bruce Bochy, there's been no indication of that.
No, I agree, and what's happened on the field. Again, you can't. I don't think blame him, the manager. You can wonder. All right, has he lost the clubhouse? I don't even know what that means. And you can, but maybe last night was him telling them, "Hey, I'm still watching you guys."
Yeah, yeah.
Don't you're about to be grounded. Don't screw off. Get out there and play hard. I'm still watching. We're still evaluating. So I would hope that's not the case. I do wonder though if that when they look at the roster, they consider who's coming, who's going, who to bring back, who to let go, how much of it they're going to be like, this guy might fit in the lineup, but he doesn't fit in the clubhouse. And I'm sure that'll be a big part of it because Chris Young believes that good people make good teammates and want to fight for the other guy, want to fight for the other 25 guys. Are you seeing that from everybody? And so that's a big question.
Yeah, and I remember asking the question when CY has talked about that at times when they're either looking or have found somebody, and I'm like, how do you scout that, right?
Yeah.
How do you scout that he's the right kind of guy? And there's no real answer for it. I mean, it's you do your research, you talk to people who have been the teammate of that person, and it doesn't always turn into what you thought it was, but you're always doing your due diligence on it.
100%. And again, that's another scouting thing. We're talking about Scott. They know so many people in the game, and they can call up a scout for, I don't know, the Mets and say, hey, is Juan Soto a good guy? And the guy will be like, oh, he's a dick, or he's a good guy. Great family man, all these things, stuff like that. And a lot of these MLB players are former, free agency. You can call your whole roster and say, hey, you played with this guy. Well, tell me about him.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's something.
And Rarity's wondering what will the first announcement outside Bochy be? And that's a good question. I mean, obviously, the reason you get Bochy done is so that you can immediately, get everybody focused on the process. And some people will be focused on this anyway. Mm-hmm. But you need everybody then focused on the process of how to best utilize the resources that we have to improve this lineup.
Right.
And so that involves, just again, that scouting process, and that involves, figuring out well, obviously, first of all, how much money we have to spend. That will never be announced, right? That's not part of the announcement process. But they figure that out, and then they go try to find guys. I mean, they need, it appears to us they're going to need an outfielder and another catcher, whether you call him a backup or whatever. He's another catcher. And to me, just because of the frailty and the uncertainty of Evan Carter, who I think could be a great leadoff guy, I think they need to find a leadoff guy.
Yeah, you're right about Evan Carter. So the first announcement outside of a Bochy announcement, well, we'll just go ahead and assume that Bochy returning is the first announcement. Like a major announcement, I don't know if a coach not returning or something like that is a major one. I don't know about anything that's sideways in the organization, player development wise. I think they're all pretty satisfied with that. But I'm wondering if maybe it's what I hope, and what Rangers fans should hope, is the first announcement should be Texas Rangers have signed Wyatt Langford to a 10-year, $300 million extension. How about that one?
Mm-hmm. That would be a great one. when you mentioned assistant coaches, it did occur to me. I think Brett Boone's only signed up through the year.
Yeah, that is a good. So that's a big one.
Hitting coach, the lead hitting coach is probably the first one that we'll hear about. Whether that's Boone signing up for a longer term, I hope he does. I think I think what he's trying to put in place is great.
Right.
So I hope that the Rangers and he come to an agreement to keep him around on a more long-term basis. But who knows? That's up to obviously to him and to them. I'm not sure though that they would want to make a change this quickly. I think if they're keeping Boch and everybody, I mean, who do you go get? You've tried one end of the extreme and the other.
Well, I think some of that falls on Brett too. Does he want to be a hitting coach,
right,
or does he want to be
a manager?
Yeah, or a bench coach, or does it be like, this was great, but I was having a good time doing that podcast and walking along the beach with my wife and dog.
Yep.
He may not need this. He made a lot of money in his career. I don't think that's kind of the thing you run into with a lot of guys who are star players. Like Don Mattingly's like the exception. It seems like he really loves the coaching aspect of it. Whereas some of these guys, regardless of how much money he made in his career, and Mattingly, didn't get paid like today's guys. And maybe if he had, maybe it's a different thing. I just don't know that Brett Boone needs to be a hitting coach. He may want to be a manager. But,
yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so okay, hitting coach. That'll be the first now. But the Rangers really need to get Langford locked up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love that idea. I think he's the future, right, of this team. He's going to be the face of this franchise. And he, wonderfully, really, Jeff, is already beginning to embrace it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a great thing from a young guy who I think that's as it is to a lot of people. It's a little counter to his personality, but I think he recognizes that, as Aikman used to say back in the day when I was covering the Cowboys, well, that comes with the dinner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things you have to do if you're going to be that 10-year, $300 million guy.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see it a little bit more. Like our conversations with him are going a little deeper than just the one sentence answers we'd encountered before. I think that he's shown he's not afraid to hit a home run and smile. When he crosses home plate,
right,
and he's not afraid to pump his fists when he
gets to third base on a triple. I remember,
right, and in a tight spot and get him fired up. He has it in him. It doesn't mean that he's going to be the rah-rah guy, but, if he's going to be your best player, and you can make an argument that all around he is their best. I know Corey Seager is their best hitter. There's no question about that. But, Wyatt does it all. Wyatt can run the bases. His defense is just taken off. I would suspect that he's going to be the face of the franchise pretty soon.
Yeah.
This is going to be his third year, and he needs to get better. There's no question about it.
Oh, yeah. And he's allowed to, too. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You are allowed to get better.
Yeah.
And I think he will. The Rangers want to see him tougher with two strikes, takes too many close pitches and leaves it up to the umpires, and things like that. And he wants to stay healthy. He wants to play a full season next year. Understand that 100%. But I think that he's got face of the franchise all over it. Natalie asks, I'm assuming we won't hear anything on Wyatt extension until it happens. And I would say yes for the most part. I don't know who his agent is. His agent is trying to gin up some business, then maybe it leaks out.
Yeah.
But
you won't hear from the organization.
You will not hear it from the Texas Rangers, everybody with the team. I've asked, and it's definitely going to be something they revisit this offseason.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's good. That's great to know. And then, we won't obviously get into any of the free agency stuff until November. But as we learned last year with Kyle Higashioka, like the minute that you're allowed to make the phone calls last year, The minute the Rangers were on the phone with Higashioka, they'd identified him and that need, and it happened, right? So we know that as soon as they are able, they're going to start contacting these free agents to let them know we want you. And that had a sway. That swayed Higashioka last year.
Yeah, he was, was like, hey, that's so nice. They want me. They like me. They really like me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't. And plus, you get out there and you kind of set the market. You get it before the market's set. And I'm not saying that Higashioka was not fairly compensated. I think he has been, for a part-time player. But he's pretty good.
Yep.
Especially since, let's say, middle June. He's been really, really good.
Yep.
He's been hurt all season. I think that's going to come out probably next spring. He went on the injured list early in the year and never got over it. Hamstring and shoulder, and he still had a nice season. He's a funny guy, good guy.
Yeah.
So the Rangers are in good hands there. Him, but the original point being, get out there, you sign the guys you want, you target the guys. And if they don't want to fart around with the market, and again, it's been different the last few years. There are guys who aren't signing until into spring training.
Right.
If the player is the type of guy that wants to know where the heck he's going to be playing, you identify him and you get him early.
Yep. You figure this thing out, and that's what they'll do. They've proven that in the past, and they'll do it again this year. Good questions, though. We appreciate them. Cleanup segment coming next. Lots to talk about. This push toward the playoffs will be fun, and so will the playoffs. Let's talk about some of that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. First, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we got a confession to make here. If it were it not for my pullover,
I know.
You'd be seeing 2 of the horseshoe DLF shirts with the Dallas skyline that John's wearing.
And we haven't, I don't believe we've done maybe one
one time,
you wore a pullover. Good thing Jeff's always cold.
Always cold, yeah.
So that he has the pullover generally because we feel like it would look a little too weird if we're both sitting here wearing the little shirts.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. But anyway, these are great shirts. You've heard us talk about it, well, probably every show since we've started. Store.allcitynetwork.com is where you get them. Kat briefly flashed the Dallas connection. These are pretty sharp-looking shirts. They're super comfortable. I have the Dallas versus all y'all, and it is way comfortable.
Yeah, it is.
I wear it a lot, and I just hung it up today because it came out of the wash. So maybe you'll see that one here again this week. But anyway, the point being, go there, check them out, because you're going to get a free one when you become
a diehard.
Yep.
And the diehard process is so simple. All you have to do is scan the QR code that we're about to flip around. There it is, right there if you're watching. If you're listening, alldlls.com/join. And for $79.99, you get way more than you deserve. But that's how we are. We're givers. And we want you to have this stuff. And the stuff that I'm talking about is content. That's what everybody's trying to create now is content. And we've got so many great people creating it. Obviously you've got the podcasts whenever you want them. But the content is the stuff that's written behind the paywall by some of the most experienced and best writers in the Metroplex. We have a writer on every single beat. Become a diehard and join us today. All right. Mariners clinched last night.
Yeah.
I know that it's cool. Let me just say this. Anybody but the Astros, really. I mean, obviously, I don't love the Mariners, but I like them winning the division better, a hell of a lot better. Sorry, Kat. A heck of a lot better than I like the Astros winning the division.
Yeah, and the Astros went ahead and lost to Oakland,
which didn't hurt. Yeah. Right now they're out of the playoffs. Now again, Detroit's so bad, which we'll get to in a second. I'm not sure that the Astros will stay out of the playoffs, but right now they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fight for them, and I thought that they were due for a miss. I've been saying it all year, and to their credit, they've been hanging around. They took care of the Rangers and had it in the palm of their hand, if you will. when they faced the Mariners, got swept at home by the Mariners, and maybe that's going to have the same effect that the Rangers sweep at Houston or to Houston will had on the Rangers. Will have the Mariners sweep will have that effect on the Astros. I'm not sure. Again, they're playing the A's and the Angels right now. Angels are bad.
Yes,
it is on the road, but it's going to be interesting to watch. And I wouldn't be upset if the Astros didn't.
No,
but I kind of expect them to make.
Well, and I mean, the reality is it's not out of the question that they could get swept by the A's. It really isn't, because the A's, I mean, the young talent that they have, like, they're a bunch of kids that don't even know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And they're just, and it's great. I mean, good for them, man. They're just out there playing hard every single day and surprising people and probably surprising themselves. It'd be shocking that the Astros, with the talent that they do have, would go into Los Angeles or Anaheim, as it were, and get swept. Or I don't even see them losing that series, and they might sweep back. So I'm with you. I think that the Rangers, that the Astros have a pretty decent chance of still making the playoffs, in part because of what's happening to my damn Tigers. Last night, yeah. So I said it to Jeff early this week. Well, it could be worse. You could be a Tigers fan. Oh, that's right, I am. Anyway, last night's game, first of the series. Remember, they played Cleveland, got swept at home, the Tigers, last week. They lost 6 in a row, make it 8 now, with this loss to the Guardians in Cleveland. And they had Tarek Skubal on the mound, and they had a 2-0 lead, and Tarek Skubal, and credit to the Guardians, they guardianed that inning up, Jeff. They got 3 runs without a ball leaving the infield. The only ball that left the infield was on a bunt. Tarek Skubal fielded a ball, tried to throw it to third base between his legs.
Whoa.
And it went kind of into the outfield in foul territory. It was the farthest ball from the outfield, from the infield, in the entire inning. But the really difficult part, and I can't imagine being a pitcher, and you could see the emotion from Tarek Skubal last night. The difficult part was when a pitch that he threw hit David Fry in the face, right in the mouth and nose. He squared to bunt, and there's 2 angles of it. I thought that it hit his bat first and then his face. But our, Ryan, who's been on the show with us several times, he's a Cleveland guy, he's a Guardians guy, and he said the replays they showed said that it actually hit the face first and then the bat, and it was 99 miles an hour. I have not seen an update on him. He left, on a stretcher, and Skubal was just, he threw his glove down, he threw his hat down, he balked in a run and threw a wild pitch after that happened. He's the first Cy Young award-winning pitcher ever to have a balk, a wild pitch, and an error all in the same inning. And it was all part of that inning. So, that becomes the human side of it, where you just feel bad for a guy who obviously, he squared the bunt. He didn't lose the pitch. The hitter moved more into the zone, and the pitch hit him. So.
Yeah, and David Fry's from Grapevine.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's sucky, but these pitchers don't like hitting guys, especially when it's severe injuries. They're very upset by it, and this is not that's you could tell that Skubal, who's great, he just doesn't do things like that.
No,
like. How many guys does he walk this year? It's such a small number, that stinks for sure.
Facial fractures, doesn't say anything more. Resting overnight at the Cleveland Clinic, and then everybody's saying Skubal wasn't trying to hit him. So anyway, awful. just awful. And of course he's out indefinitely. The ball hit him in the mouth and nose. I mean, just unbelievable. So, and I truly wonder now. I really do. I don't think the Rangers are going to lose the rest of their games, but I wonder about the Tigers. They just can't. They can't find their way out. They didn't hit. He had 19 strikeouts, by the way.
Holy moly!
The Tigers hitters struck out 19 times in the game.
They've been a high strikeout team all season.
Yeah, but 19.
Boy, that's a gigantic number.
Yeah, it's huge. So anyway, that's a sad story that is also a tragic story. And the sad part is what's going to happen is because the Tigers and Guardians are tied with the exact same record right now. Guardians hold the tiebreaker. So right now, they're the leaders in the division, and the Tigers are the third wild card. And so technically, the Guardians have overtaken a 15.5 game deficit since July the 9th or 10th. And it's the largest in the history of the game. Way back in 1914.
Oh, yeah, 1914.
The Braves were down by 15 games and came all the way back. But it's
the Boston Braves.
Yeah. It's
not even the Milwaukee Braves.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's anyway, that's bad. That's a really bad collapse by the Tigers. And I think it was 10.5 games at the start of the month. At start of September.
Yeah, it was a big number.
So
the one thing the Astros do have going for them in this race is Hunter Brown is pitching. So perhaps they have an opportunity to pull one out with their ace on the mound.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's going to be it'll change every day.
Yankees win last night with a walk-off, and so they clinch. And so, we all it was inevitable. We all kind of knew they would. But the Yankees are in. That's not surprising. They are in as a wild card, and maybe that is surprising. Sure. I don't know that part's really surprising. I do think that it's surprising, and I'm, actually pleasantly surprised that it's Toronto that beat them.
Yeah, I think that would be the surprise. Not necessarily that the Yankees were a wild card team, but that it is the Blue Jays who, their front office and their manager entered the season like, hot seat situation, and they had the Vladimir Guerrero uncertainty, and but all of these teams are flawed. The Blue Jays really need Bo Bichette back, and who they have an injury in the rotation to Bassett. They have just a lot of things that are up in the air. The Yankees still have the bullpen issues. They strike out a lot. We know enough about the Mariners and the Astros to know their flaws. Obviously, Detroit is super flawed right now, and the Guardians are still a bunch of no-name starting pitchers.
Yeah.
No, after Kwan and Ramirez. Can you name 3 other batters?
I swear to you.
And the bullpen situation with Clase suspended. So, I mean, there's a lot of issue there with those teams. And then, the Red Sox still, they strike out a ton. They have one really good pitcher who's pitching tonight, but what after that? And you can do the same to the National League teams too.
Right, especially when you're as it pertains to bullpen. Dodgers bullpen is really struggling, and in fact, the Diamondbacks walked them off last night to keep their hopes alive. Diamondbacks are right now tied with the Reds, 1 game behind the Mets. Reds lost last night. Diamondbacks won, and the Mets also did win. So they've kind of reestablished themselves as that number 3 wild card. But that one's going to go down to the wire as well. And that National League West is now wide open. I mean, still, I shouldn't say now. It's still, open at the top. And the Padres know it. And the Padres won last night against the Brewers, by the way. And they're only a game and a half behind the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I got a quick story. The fella at the front desk at my Orange Theory, he's a retired guy who just works there part-time. Big Dodgers fan. And so pretty much every day I walk in there, he goes, "Oh, Dodgers bullpen did it again." gave up a lead. He hates Blake Trinan, and so I walked in today because I knew what had happened. I said, "Up, Steve, Dodgers bullpen did it again," and he's like, "Oh, I know it. They're killing me." So they've got problems.
They got some issues too. So, man, it's going to be fun. The end of this season will be fun. The postseason will be fun. It just won't, as we said at the top, include the Rangers. Not that after the Houston series, any of us thought it would. So, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. As always, tomorrow it's a post-game edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. And then the next time you'll see us after tomorrow will be Sunday for another post-game and the final post-game edition this season of the DLLS Rangers podcast. So until then, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on this DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.